And to the fans, tune in on UFC Fight Pass or come watch us live. It's going to be a battle. I'm going to be in his face and expect a 3-round war. So it's going to be entertaining.
From MMA Island. Christopher Santiago with MMA Island, winner of 8 out of his last 10. We're talking to former champ Buddy Wallace, who returns at A1 Combat on March 27th against Nick Maximov for the title. Buddy, how's it going today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. Obviously, you didn't get the result that you wanted in your last fight. I guess, what can you tell me about the last fight and how it went?
Yeah, it was all pretty quick. It was only about 3 minutes, but uh, we were just getting into it and accidental eye poke. You know, accidents happen. He wasn't able to continue, so it turned into a no contest. But luckily, they scheduled the rematch pretty quick, so right back into fight keep and ready to get this going on next week.
I know it was like midway into the first round, but I guess can you take it away anything from those first 2 minutes against Nick?
Yeah, he his wrestling. I knew he was going to be good at wrestling. He took me down twice, but I popped up as quick as he got me down, and I felt like I was getting the better of the exchanges on the feet. So I think we're both going to make some adjustments, and it's going to make an even better fight. A war for the fans.
hmm What did this training camp look like? And I guess, is it any different from the last training camp that you put in, considering what you have seen, and I guess considering how that fight went?
I made a couple minor adjustments, but no, it was kind of going the way I expected, and I've been training for this guy since August of last year. Like they rescheduled our fight, and now this thing happened. So we've been training for each other for like 6 months already. So I'm just excited to get in there and prove what I know, what where that fight was headed. And if he makes adjustments, it's going to be even better for the fans. They paid for this fight twice, so I definitely want to bring that same intensity and excitement and make it good for the fans.
hmm And you're fighting for the title that you won back in 2022, and you never lost that belt to anyone. Is that correct?
That's correct. I won it at 185, and then I relinquished it because I had aspirations to get to the UFC. It just didn't work out, so I came back and I won the belt again in 2023 at 170. So I was kind of their double champ, not at the same time, but I've won the belt twice for A1, and now I'm headed back for a third time to get that belt.
And you mentioned the UFC. Next year will be 10 years since your Contender Series appearance. What was it like getting the call and to fight under those lights, to get the opportunity to fight there?
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I took it on 6 days' notice, so
Wow.
I was kind of hoping I jumped into their main event and kind of saved the show for them. So I was hoping I'd get another shot, but things happen the way they do. Here I am, 10 years later. I'm still. If they gave me another shot on 6 days, I'd jump right on it again. So we'll see.
hmm I believe, with Contender Series, they don't allow any walkout songs. Was the atmosphere different? Like, and I'm sure with the Apex, there's not much of a crowd. How different was it than your average MMA fight?
It was definitely different, but I liked it, man. It kind of reminded me of my amateur days, like minimal crowd and just you and that guy going at it, hearing the strikes and having people right up close. So it was cool. I'd love to do it again, and I got to shake hands with Snoop Dogg, so that's a big bonus right there.
Very cool. Very cool. I did not know that. Awesome. Next question, man. I guess what would it mean for you to regain this title that you won a few years ago and to right the wrong of the last fight?
Yeah, it means a lot, but I still just take it one fight at a time. Win or lose, I plan on fighting again. So best of luck to my opponent. I'm gonna if I can win this belt, I feel like he's on a five fight win streak. He's been to the UFC. There's been multiple opponents that have been to the UFC and they step out and I beat them. So I've been trying to prove that I belong there. So this would just be another opportunity to show I belong. And if not, I'll come back and defend it or keep going. So either way, I'm gonna keep fighting.
Yeah, I mean, before this, the no contest. I mean, you had won 8 of your last 10. One of those losses was to the Bellator and current PFL champion Ramazan Kurmagomedov. I would
Yeah.
say 14-0. What was it like fighting that guy and to see where he is at today? Because I mean, I feel like that's not a, if you're gonna lose to anybody, it's gonna be to that guy, right?
Yeah, yeah. And when I took the fight, it was probably 6 or 8 weeks notice, which is kind of short notice, but I knew I wanted to test myself against a top level fighter like that. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. So I had to jump at the opportunity, and he showed me I got some work to do. But since then, I've been working with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, Ryan Loader, Max Payne Griffin, all these UFC greats right in Sacramento. I've been taking the trip up twice a week to train with those guys. So I definitely feel like facing an opponent like that made me realize I need to step up my game and get around like-minded individuals to try to get to where I want to be.
I thought Anthony Hernandez looked great in that fight against Sean Strickland up until the stoppage. I thought he was doing really good in that fight.
I thought so too. I thought he was going to turn it on those next 3 rounds, but it's the fight game. Anyone can get caught. So he'll be back.
Yeah, most definitely. I believe this will be your 37th fight. What do you make of the landscape of the sport today? Because I feel like it's kind of changing with, I'm not sure if you've seen Most Valuable Promotions. They just got Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz. They
I
got
saw.
Ngannou. They got Rousey, Carano. I guess what do you make of the landscape right now?
I think it's interesting, man. I've been trying to get to the UFC for so long, but I'd love to fight for these other promotions, and I've been hoping that more promotions would build themselves up. It wouldn't be such like a monopoly, kind of how it is with the UFC. So, the more the merrier. I say I'm trying to get on that MVP card. That'd be awesome to be fighting alongside legends like that. So, I think it's cool. I think a little bit of competition always builds builds the sport rather than having less opportunity.
Mhm. Can you talk to me about the opportunity that you had on at Karate Combat? Fighting under that rule set, it's a lot different than MMA. How much fun did you have? I know you didn't get to win, but what was it like going the distance?
Oh, dude, it was awesome. Getting matched up with Lorenz Larkin, I was like, the guy's a
Former
knockout
top
artist.
contender.
Yeah, he's a knockout artist. So I was like, this is either gonna be really good or I'm gonna be proud of myself for not getting knocked out. I took that fight on 3 week notice. So that was my goal, was to survive with an opponent like that. And it was cool. I gained his respect. Boss Rutan was kind of at the beginning of the fight. He's like, "Oh, Braveheart, we'll see about that." And by the end, he's like, "Braveheart for sure," because I took some heavy elbows and I kept it entertaining for the crowd. So it was a blast, dude. I'd love to do it again. So President Awesome, I hit you up soon.
Speaking of Braveheart, have you ever painted your face like half of your face blue because of the movie?
Yeah, I never have. I've talked to my wife
Really?
about it. She usually discourages me from doing stuff like that. But I was talking with King Mo after my last fight. He was there cornering one of his guys, and he gave me some numbers to go fight in Japan and different places. So he's like, build your character out there. Do stuff like that at weigh-ins. And I'm like, yeah, if they fly me to Japan, I'll definitely show it up a little bit. So that might be a good place to do that.
Mhm. Do you have any Scottish heritage, or I guess where did that nickname come from?
Uh, it's funny, the director and writer of the movie, his name is Randall Wallace, spelled exactly the same as mine. My real
Okay.
first name is Randall, and I tried to do some research, Google what can you trust, but William Wallace, the actual Braveheart, didn't actually have children, but he had a brother, and his ancestors ended up in the Tennessee area, and that's where all my family on my Wallace side's from. So I feel like I got that real actual Braveheart blood in me. So I'm running with
Wow.
it.
Dude, that's honestly one of the coolest stories I've heard to like the question of like the story behind the nickname. That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome, man. What do you think the energy is going to be like, fighting in California, March 27th, Nick Maximov, former UFC fighter. What's the energy going to be like in the arena?
Oh, it's gonna be awesome, man. Sacramento's kind of like my second home now. It's almost like fighting in my backyard. I get to represent. I'm from the countryside of the 209, so I'm always trying to rep my whole area. And fighting in California is always fun. Last year I traveled a lot and flew around to fight, so I'm excited to be back at home.
Next question. Who's your favorite fighter to watch all time and maybe right now, currently?
All time, it would have to be Anderson Silva because
The Spider.
yeah, he
Nice.
was the man, especially in the beginning of my career. He was definitely an inspiration to try to be inventive with your striking and stuff. And I was just a wrestler, so I was excited to learn more and grow in that aspect. Right now, it's definitely the dudes I train with: Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, Max Payne Griffin, Ryan Loader, Man of Steel. All these guys, I my heart gets racing whenever I get to watch them fight. I have a 19-month-old, and she's copying me. I start yelling at the TV and stuff, and she's like, "Yeah!" She gets fired up and screams with me.
Awesome. Is there like any because I feel like Anderson Silva has so many different strikes and so much different strikes in his arsenal. Do you have a favorite strike in your arsenal?
That front kick, man, those front kick knockouts he has. I've tried
Yes,
it a
yeah.
lot of times in my career and I haven't landed it yet. So maybe one day I gotta set it up right. But yeah, definitely push kicks and front kicks have got me far in my competition.
Yeah, his front kicks kind of remind me of the Karate Kid move, if the Mr.
Yeah.
Miyagi the crane kick.
Yep.
I guess what's your favorite martial arts movie or a movie about MMA?
It's funny. I was born in '89, so a lot of people were inspired by Bruce Lee and stuff like that, which I was later on. But when I was a kid, I was watching Jackie Chan and Jet Li movies, stuff like that. So they were a big inspiration for me as a kid. I was always claiming I knew karate even when I didn't. So it was because of
Nice.
those movies.
Were you big into the Rush Hour movies?
Yeah, yeah, Rush Hour 2 for sure.
Oh yeah, that's the best one, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And
Awesome.
Shanghai Nights and Shanghai Noon, those ones are funny.
Yeah, for sure, buddy. Well, I think that's all the questions I had for you today, man. I just want to thank you again for the time. Is there anything that you want to say to the fans out there before I let you go?
Yeah, I just want to thank all my sponsors and shout them out. The top ones: Sig, Solar Company. They've been with me for so many fights now. I got sponsored by Mercedes Benz in Stockton
Nice.
and Ceramic Garage in Modesto. All these surrounding towns are starting to support me, and I appreciate it so much. And to the fans, tune in on UFC Fight Pass or come watch us live. It's going to be a battle. I'm going to be in his face and expect a 3-round war, so it's going to be entertaining.